Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Tuesday night series. Hope everyone is having a good week thus far. So tonight, if you read the description at all of our Facebook Live, I wanted to do a card that we haven't done before, and it's one that we all need to have in our stash for those occasions when we have to send a sympathy card. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I just got the Wishing You Well stamp set delivered today, and it's in the distinctive stamp series. So I love the different shadows and highlights that you get with just stamping at one time. And I couldn't wait to try it out. I've seen a lot of people work with the wreath and the bow and the pretty flowers in the bow and just beautiful cards. But I thought it also would lend itself well to doing a condolences card simply because it has this perfect sentiment. Let me hold this up. Sending you our thoughts and prayers. And I thought we would also make it more of a masculine card. So it's going to be darker colors because I don't have enough masculine cards anyway in my stash. So this is another good opportunity for me to explore that. And let me show you what I mean. The colors that we're going to be using are, I'm going to have a card base of basic gray, and then I'll layer the front with some Blackberry Bliss. I really like the elegance and the boldness at the same time that these two colors have together. And I wanted to dress up the front a little bit because we're not going to be doing a lot of stamping on the front. And so I ran this piece through the tufted embossing folder. Hi, Roz. Hi, Chris. Thanks, ladies, for joining. So I went ahead and did that just to save us a little bit of time. But I have a little surprise for you guys in this card as well, because we're going to be using a technique. And it's one I haven't used in a while, but I really like. Not going to spoil the surprise. We'll just get started. The very first thing that I'm going to do is to glue down the embossed panel to my card base. And I'll just use good old liquid glue for that. A little dab will do you ordinarily, but you know what? Because of this technique we're going to do, I'm not just going to put it on the outside. I'm going to carry it all the way through the card. I want it to stick everywhere. And then I'll just line it up, giving myself a thin border all the way around. Slide that corner down a little bit. And because this is embossed, so it has raised areas and depressed areas, I'm going to give it a good press while it's drying, just to make sure that all of those areas get stuck down. All right, just like that. Now, instead of stamping on the front, although we will have a sentiment strip on the front, we're actually going to do our stamping on the inside and have it show through the front. It's called a peekaboo card. To get that effect, what I'm going to do is I cut a frame already that will frame the picture. And this is out of silver foil. I just used the largest of the stitch shapes ovals and the largest of the layering ovals. And that gave me this nice frame that will go around the cutout that we're about to make. Hello, Jean. I know it's a beautiful color combo, isn't it, Roz? So how are we going to get that peekaboo? Well, I'm going to take the smallest of the ovals I used for the frame, which is the stitched shape one, And I'll bring in the big shot. See if I can do this without knocking everything down. And we're just going to cut through both layers at the same time. The reason we want to do this ahead of time is so that we'll know where to stamp on the inside so that it shows through in the correct spot. So I'll just lay this down, and I think now you can really see why I wanted to make sure that that embossed layer was stuck down really well. So let me just, it's easier actually for me to see on the computer, believe it or not. It's up a little high for me. So I think that's about the middle, although I'm going to bring it up just a tad because I do want to leave room for our sentiment strip. Carefully lay this down, hoping I don't move anything, and we'll send it through the big shot. Now, because we're cutting through 2 layers, I'm going to cut once and then bring it back and forward one more time. And that's just to make sure that I get everything cut out. So let's see if that worked. And there we go. So that's going to be where our image is going to come through. Whoops, wipe off the little fuzzies I got there. And don't throw away this panel because it makes a great mat for another card. Okay. And let me bring back in my frame so that I can show you what I do with my frame. There it is. That this is very nicely going to frame that opening so that we're not looking at any raw edges. All right. The next thing I need to do is figure out where I'm going to have the stamped image. I'm not going to glue this down, although you know what? That actually might be a better idea. I am going to glue it down. That way I know it won't shift. We really need to have accurate placement of our stamped image on the inside. So I might as well do this right now. And again, I'm just making sure that I have an equal border all the way around. And as you can see, our stamped image is going to shine through right there. So which image are we going to use from our stamp set? Let me bring it back in here. I thought it would look really nice if we used this one. So this is how it's going to look. It'll show through just like that. Because I want to be sure that I get a good stamped image, we're going to bring in the Stamparatus and use it. This is the first time I've used this stamp. Because it's a clear mount, I took off the rubber mat that goes with the Stamparatus. And I'm just going to place, believe it or not, this whole thing down. And do this so that I can line it up right in the center. Now, no, I'm not going to try and stamp through that. I'm going to open it up. And now I'll be able to stamp. And I thought because we've got a lot of the Blackberry Bliss going on the front of the card with that embossed panel, I'm going to go ahead and use my smoky slate. You could use basic gray as well, but I wanted it to be a little more silvery looking. And I'll just stamp it down there. Now, if you want it a little bit darker than that, which I do, not much, but just a little, simply re-ink your stamp. And because you're using the Stamparatus, you know it's going to stamp in exactly the same spot. And there we go. So that's our stamped image for the front. Let me just clean this off real quick so I don't accidentally drop it, because I think we're going to do a little more stamping on the inside. I thought just to bring a little of the Blackberry Bliss to the inside without it being overpowering, that we go ahead and put the bow on it. And wait till you see this bow. You guys are going to be blown away. I will, like I said, use the Blackberry Bliss for this. Now, you ready for the magic? Look at how beautiful that is. See, I mean, it looks just like an organza ribbon. It's just lovely. And I think that was what really made me want the stamp set in the beginning, was watching everybody use this bow. But then I started reading those sentiments and oh my gosh, they were just too pretty. All right, let's see how we did. So as you can see, it's our peekaboo card. It shows through. Now what we need to do is we have to have, of course, a sentiment for the front. Although I toyed with stamping the sentiment in black across the leafy image, but I decided in the end that it did need to have something on the front. So I have a sentiment strip here. Just gonna, oops, hold that down. Boy, those magnets are strong. And then I already have this mounted straight on the block because I was playing with it. I'm just using the Stamparatus because that magnet is going to hold that strip securely. And that way I know it will be stamped evenly. We could use the smoky slate. You could even heat emboss with silver. Because it's going to be on white, and I feel that that gives it some good separation from the embossed panel, I'm going to go ahead and stamp it in the Blackberry Bliss. I mean, if we don't like it, we can turn it over and we can stamp it in the silver. Pardon me if my head gets in the way here. Look at how pretty that is. The font on that is just gorgeous. And so this is going to tuck down here like this, but I am going to trim the edges just a bit so that it's not quite so wide, and even, I think, taper one edge of it. Give it just a little design element. And then that will sit down here, and I'm even going to have that hang off just a little bit. If you wanted to, you could even trim it down a little bit more. And you know, I might just do that. So everybody, wish me luck. You know I don't cut very straight, but we're going to give it a whirl. Not bad. There we go. I didn't do too bad. Okay. I'll close up my stamp pad here. And let's see how she looks. So this is going to sit right, oops, not upside down. This is going to sit right there. I'll leave just a little bit of the Blackberry Bliss below it. Before I attach that though, I do want to go ahead and put the frame on. I didn't forget about it. See how beautiful that is? It really gives it that finishing touch. And we'll just go back to using our liquid glue. And I want to make sure I don't get any on the inside, so I'll open it up here. And just do little dabs. You don't need much. You do want to make sure that you get enough on there that it's going to stick, however. So if you can see, I'm just kind of putting a dab on and then dragging it around. See if I can do this without getting it all over my fingers. You also could use your silicone mat, put a little bit of the glue on it, and use a sponge and dab. The nice thing about having cut out after I put the emboss panel on, it left a little ridge, which is going to make it easy for me to see where this goes. So it fits right into that ridge. And that way I don't get the glue all over the foil on the outside. I think we'll pop up our sentiment. And you know what else? I'm going to soften the edges of that sentiment. It's just a little too stark for me. You certainly can use a dauber for this, but I'm just going to lightly tap the edges into my ink pad. It always helps if your ink pad is not too juicy. And that softens the edges just a touch. Just need a couple of these dimensionals. One here. Hello, Patricia. I didn't see you sneak in. Thanks for joining us. Oh, look at that. I almost put it on upside down again. Disaster City. And like I said, I want a little bit of a border below. It can hang off just a smidge, and I'm fine with that. And there is our card for tonight. So it went together in, oh my gosh, about 15 minutes or less. It is masculine or neutral enough where you could send it for a masculine condolences, but with the bow, I think it pretties it up enough to where you could also send this for female condolences. For female condolences, what you also could do, I know it's a little hard to see there, I think you can see there, but on the tufted, see how everywhere the diamonds meet, there's a little bitty circle? You could put some of the tiny pearls on there, and that would dress it up as well. So that's the card that I wanted to bring to you all tonight. Hello, Amy. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and that you'll give it a try. I can't wait to use the wreath with the bow as well. So you're probably going to see even more of this stamp set. All right, well, I'll let you guys get back to your Tuesday evening, and I hope the rest of your week goes smoothly. If any of you are joining from any of the states where Florence is headed, please be safe. Bye, y'all.